Hi, my name is Nicole Waman, and I will be presenting Arthur Felig, a photographer who's also known as Ouija. Arthur Felig was born as Usher Felig on June 12, 1899. He was born in Austria, and he died on December 27, 1968. Ouija started working as a photographer at the age of 14, and he changed his name 3 years after arriving to the United States. Arthur Felig is a photographer who's well known as Ouija, and his name comes from the phonetic pronunciation of the Ouija board. His photographs depicts crime and other newsworthy events, and his photos are usually taken at night, and he was a self-taught when it came to photography when he started at the age of 14. Ouija had a studio in Lower Manhattan, and in his early career, he spent most of his time as a freelance press photographer, and he sold his photographs to tabloid newspapers from 1935 to 1940s. And he's also published his first book called The Naked City in 1945, followed by another book called Ouija's People in 1946. Ouija has also taken photos of celebrities and other figures in the entertainment industry, besides taking photographs of crime and other noteworthy events. This is what he did in his other spare time. He also used a variety of trick lenses to distort and manipulate these images. He often exposed or exaggerated the imperfections of his subjects. He also experimented with infrared film and flash to make exposures in darkness. Ouija used a 4x5 speed graphic press camera and flash exclusively throughout his career. Ouija's photographs are well known for the elements of social critique in his photographs, and most of his work is depicted as unflinchingly realistic, since most of his scenes are of urban life, crime, injury, and death. In this photograph here, we see a car collision in Brooklyn, and it's on Stuyvesant Avenue. This photograph was taken in 1947, and Ouija captured a moment of a car collision in New York City, and this photograph seems more natural and in the moment, which seems to be Ouija's style. In this photograph here, this was at a concert in Washington Square Park at Greenwich Village. The date of this photograph is unknown, but again, the photo was taken at night with flash, which is one of Ouija's techniques in his photos. And again, this photograph depicts an in-the-moment scene. This photograph here is called Ruth Snyder Murder. This was taken in Coney Island on 1941, and Ouija used a wax display for his photographs. And again, he used flash, and the flash was a common technique. Again. Okay. This photograph is called Ouija, Murder is My Business. This was presented at the Photo League in 1941, and in this photograph, this is basically other multiple photographs of Ouija's work, where he's taken photographs of crime, police officers, murders, and other noteworthy events. The name of this photograph here is unknown, but there was a description where I found this where it said that a police officer and a lodge member was looking at what seems to be a dead body at a excursion ship stampede, and this was dated on August 18th, 1941. Now we will be moving on to my recreation of Ouija's photographs. As you can see on the original photo, it's seen again, his picture was taken at night. This was there's a woman and she's holding what seems to be her child, And I realized this after I've taken my recreation photo of it, that it seems that Ouija did like a type of darkened border around it. And in mine, compared to mine seems to be more of this era, really. And my subject was more like in the middle of the photograph as compared to Ouija's original photograph. And in this photograph, I couldn't take it with flash because when I did, it just brightened up the whole entire image itself completely. And so if I edited it, it still wouldn't look the same. Now in this photograph, we see one side of Ouija has taken a photograph of what seems to be 3 men at a movie theater. And as compared to mine seems to be, as I was saying, as compared to mine, my photograph doesn't seem as old as compared to Ouija's photograph. And also I had to use multiplicity because for this specific photograph, I went to the gym theater and I was watching a movie at the time with my family, and no one at the theater after the movie ended. I asked if anyone would be able to volunteer for me to just take a quick few pictures, and so everyone said no, so that kind of made this more difficult because I planned on not editing that much for these photographs, but in the end I had to. So as compared to Ouija and mine, Ouija's was much better, and as compared to mine, it seems more of this decade and this era, and also I had to do multiplicity. In this photograph here, in Ouija's photograph, we have a man who seems to be sitting down on a bed of some sort in a room. And compared to mine, I had nothing similar to that, especially with the wired fence. So I had to take 2 photographs. I had to do the background of my subject just kind of squatting down, and I had to add on a layer of the fence that I took separately. And all of these photographs were just really difficult overall because I didn't expect actually to edit this much. Now in this photograph, I couldn't exactly find a similar bridge as to the one that Ouija took of, especially with the cart there going on off the side. So this was as similar as I could possibly get it. And as you can see, it's very different. In Ouija's photograph, it seems to be more dark in contrast, and mine seems to be more light. And the more I tried to make it somewhat similar, but it just didn't work out in the end. I took this photograph near the music factory, and that was as close, as similar as I can possibly take this photograph. Same goes for this one. I took this near the music factory, I believe, and my model didn't exactly have a suit, or a suit that was somewhat similar to the one I wanted it. So this photograph was also really difficult, especially since I couldn't find a platform where my subject could where my model, could lay down and take this photograph in public. So this was also very difficult. Well, thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed learning about Ouija.